Cole Palmer is one of the most well-known players around the footballing world now. His signature celebration could have potentially been taken from someone else, is shown around the world, and he has ice in those veins. Coming up through Manchester City Academy, working his way throughout the youth team, winning the under-21 Euros with England, and starting to bleed himself in to the Man City team after performing excellent at youth level. He would get goals in the Champions League under Pep's side, scoring in the FA Cup, and working his way into that Man City team until he was hit with an injury, putting him out for over 100 days and halting his progress. Palmer, after coming back from injury, expecting to, get a little bit more game time, scored in a crucial game of the Club Super Cup for Man City and also in the Community Shield. Those would be his last goals for Manchester City. Pep admired him but never truly gave him the minutes he deserved. Palmer wanted to be the main man, and so he looked elsewhere. A 50 million bid came in for the youngster. At the time, absolutely outrageous. Chelsea was on the horizon. So Cole Palmer, the man who stole Morgan Rogers' celebration, but most importantly, grew up in the academy of Manchester City, being scouted by both City and United initially as a young kid, choosing the better grounds in Man City and consistently working his way up throughout that academy, becoming almost like a lad who is very, very unknown, especially at Man City. Yes, he did score important goals for them in the FA Cup, in the Community Shield and in the Super Cup, but when that £50 million price tag came in for him from Chelsea, everybody was shocked. This boy has barely played over 20 appearances for Man City. He hasn't been able to establish him in this team. Why is he worthy of this 50 million, and how is Chelsea so sure that he's going to work and be successful? Palmer ultimately wanted game time. There is a element of risk in there. He could have just sat at City, earn a wage, or come off the bench and play 20 minutes per game, and maybe like Foden, how he gets himself into the team eventually but has to deal with the Pep roulette. He wanted to be the main man and wanted to prove his ability. Obviously, Pep always said that he was a great player, but the fact that City were just willing to let him leave showed that maybe they thought they was getting a better deal for a player who they valued or saw as not worth any more than 50 million. And he proved them all wrong. But essentially what Cole Palmer has done, he's took a lot of risk. As I said, he could have stayed at Man City. Instead, he chose to move down to London from Manchester as a young kid, take that leap, and then further better that by dragging Chelsea through that first season. Absolutely incredible for him. And the story of Cole Palmer at Chelsea is just beginning.
Cole Palmer has now been confirmed as a Chelsea player at Stamford Bridge.
And that 50 million bid shocked the footballing world. Chelsea splashing the cash consistently in that season and seasons before. Multiple players not working out. Why would Cole Palmer be so different? His price tag was overpriced for a youngster who had made only a couple of professional appearances for Manchester City, but he was willing to prove the doubters wrong. A mouth breather with a physique that could be considered weak. He showed the fans and footballing supporters around the world what he's about, lighting up the Premier League in his first season, gaining the most goal contributions in that Premier League season, only Ollie Watkins close to him. He had a standout season, and at the time where Chelsea were crumbling and falling apart, he was the one who was consistent and stood out. Under Pochettino, delivering time and time again. Ultimately, Chelsea were not able to secure top four, but without Palmer, they would have been far, far worse. It had done his job for Pochettino, and then in came Enzo Maresca. Under Pochettino, a manager who was an ex-Spurs man, Palmer shone. He had bumps in the road, Pochettino, at Chelsea. They were losing countless games, but when they needed one man to drag them through the game, they looked for Cole Palmer, scoring hat-tricks, providing assists, being up there in the top goal scorers and the top assisters. Cole Palmer ending up with the most goals and assists in his first Premier League season is truly incredible at such a young age as well. Carrying a squad like Chelsea, who have so much ambition, so much presence, and they are a big club. Let's be real, they're a top 6 club. Palmer was able to breeze his way through that and really showed that that £50 million fee, to some extent, was cheap. Beating big teams, relying on one person, and the consistency of Cole Palmer shows that he was willing to give everything. The risk paid off, and his move to Chelsea would be a bit of a bite in the arse for Man City, thinking, shit, why did we let him go? Obviously, they had that massive game where I think it was 4-4 against Man City, and ultimately Poch's time would come to an end. But the one thing he did do well is get the best out of Cole Palmer. And even when Chelsea were a little bit in the ascendance towards the end of the season, they decided to switch managers and they looked to Enzo Maresca. Cole Palmer was going to have to adapt, change his style slightly, and people wondered, was he just a one-season wonder, or would he prevail and become even more consistent and maintain his brilliant form? Now, Palmer has continued to perform this season where others such as Watkins have dropped off. He has been the main man and the mainstay at Chelsea, fitting under Maresca's tactics, slightly changing position to involve himself more creatively, finding the final pass. Ultimately, he has continued the amazing electric form that he was in last season. The breakout signing and ultimately justifying the price tag that so many lauded as an overpriced rip-off. Working his way into the men's England team and providing vital assists and goals in the Euros that has just gone. Ultimately, yet again, being neglected of game time, he repeatedly continues to show his doubters why he deserves to play and start every game. Chelsea believed in him and gave him that chance, and he took it with open arms. The future looks bright for him, and whether that's winning a trophy potentially with England and most likely with Chelsea, he has a lot more to give. Cole Palmer is ice cold, and this man is here to stay. Bloody hell, it is absolutely freezing. No better place for a man like Cole Palmer, but for the future now. Cole Palmer in the Euros before he had to think about Maresca. Didn't get the game time the fans wanted. Him, Ollie Watkins on the bench. People urging Southgate to bring him on. And when he did bring these players on, Cole Palmer performed, scoring a goal in the final, dragging England back into the game, providing a vital assist for Ollie Watkins. And he did all of this and still looked like he wasn't bothered. He gets absolutely pelted for his, looking dumb or his IQ, not really being bothered about anything other than football. But when you make the game simple, it just comes naturally to you. And that's what Cole Palmer does. He doesn't really care about the media, anything else. Chippy chips, failing at PE in school. We've heard it all. And that's why I think everyone loves Cole Palmer, because he's so good at football. Yet, in other walks of life, he might not be that clever. Who cares? He does the footballing, does the talking on the pitch. And he had an excellent Euros, one where he should have started more, went back to Chelsea, straight in the gym afterwards, had no time off, and had to adapt under Enzo Maresca. And that's what he did, dropping a little bit deeper at times to play balls in behind. But Cole Palmer has maintained his performance and maintained his consistency. Chelsea, as a team, have improved with him, and now they're looking like they could be getting top 4. Obviously, it's very, very hard in the Premier League at the moment. It's very up and down. Chelsea did drop off recently, but that can all change. And Cole Palmer is always in amongst the goal. Look at FPL. Cole Palmer's in your team for Chelsea, the first name on the team sheet as well. Enzo Maresca will rotate his team, but mainly Cole Palmer stays unless it's in the Conference League where he's just playing a whole other team, because that's what Chelsea can do. They've got a huge squad, and I think with the manager now, they're finding out someone who can manage it. And Cole Palmer has made that transition for Enzo Maresca very, very easy. If he just stays simple, does what he does, enjoys a little Chinese on the night, and he might do a few memes, but that's just all part of the fun. The future is very bright for this kid, as long as he keeps his head down and keeps doing what he's doing. And by the sounds of it, I'm fucking freezing right now. But by the sounds of his interviews and what he believes, he will just play football and keep going. That is what he's all about. And Cole Palmer is Chelsea's Iceman. And at the moment, he's bloody unstoppable.